Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 badass lines in horror films.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
I ain't got time to bleed. Oh. Okay.
I want to play a game.
For this list, we're looking at the coolest, most threatening, and most genuinely badass lines or declarations in horror cinema. As is to be expected, there will be a few spoilers ahead. What's your all-time favorite horror movie line? Let us know in the comments below. Number 20. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? The Witch. We don't know what it means, but man, is it ever creepy. The Witch received a lot of praise, particularly for Robert Eggers' authentic screenplay. This genius line is eerily spoken by the family's billy goat, Black Phillip. That's because the goat isn't actually a goat, but Satan incarnate.
Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Satan uttering the words "live deliciously" conjures up all sorts of freaky images. Images we don't particularly want to think about.
I will guide thy hand.
Number 19. To a New World of Gods and Monsters, Bride of Frankenstein. Universal's Frankenstein is obviously one of the most iconic horror films ever produced, and they followed it up with what is perhaps the greatest horror sequel of all time. Introduced in the film is Dr. Septimus Pretorius, who wishes for, well, a new world of gods and monsters.
To a new world of gods and monsters.
It's a brilliant line, and it was later resurrected in the 2017 Mummy reboot.
Welcome to a new world of gods and monsters.
It really is one of the most timeless lines in movie history. Number 18. It's Miller Time, Night of the Creeps. Released in 1986, Night of the Creeps is an intentionally corny B-movie concerning zombies and aliens.
I got good news and bad news, girls. The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
And like most B-movies, it contains some wickedly silly lines, including "It's Miller Time." It helps that the line is uttered by Tom Atkins, a beloved horror veteran who's worked with some of the biggest names in the game, including Stephen King and John Carpenter.
It's Miller time.
Sometimes you have to let go of the serious stuff and just have a little fun.
1, 2. Piece of cake.
Number 17. Go ahead and shoot. I'll be back. I always come back. But dying is such a bitch. Bride of Chucky. Now, that is not something a character wants to hear right before disposing of the murderous villain. This fantastic line is confidently declared by the psychotic Chucky, right before he's blown away by Jade.
Go ahead and shoot! I'll be back! I always come back! Yeah, but dying is such a bitch.
Badass lines like these help Chucky stand apart from the usual horror villain fare, and lend him a welcome degree of originality and personality. That and, being a doll. Number 16. Where we're going, we won't need eyes to see. Event Horizon. This is what movie lovers would get if Doc Brown were both depraved and psychotic. Event Horizon isn't a widely loved movie, but it still contains some great scares and creepy lines. The plot of the movie concerns a spaceship that returns to our universe after visiting another, and this line perfectly conveys a sense of Lovecraftian horror, unlike anything else seen or heard in the movies. Listen to it and let your imagination run wild.
Where we're going, we won't need eyes to see.
Number 15. Oh, no tears please, it's a waste of good suffering. Hellraiser. What could very well be Clive Barker's masterpiece, Hellraiser famously concerns Pinhead and his Cenobites, a group of extra-dimensional masochistic beings obsessed with torture and other bad things.
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Playing Pinhead is Doug Bradley, whose deep and menacing voice helped make Pinhead an icon. Just imagine hearing those words from that voice and that pale, macabre face. On second thought, maybe don't imagine that, for your own sanity.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Number 14. I ain't got time to bleed. Predator. Not every badass line is spoken by the antagonist. Sometimes a hero breaks out an absolute banger, especially if the character is played by real Vietnam veteran and ex-wrestler Jesse Ventura. Ventura plays Blaine, and he lends Predator one of its signature lines.
I ain't got time to bleed.
The line itself is obviously killer, but what makes it even better is Poncho's bewildered reaction. There's nothing more badass than two vets talking about bleeding, or a lack thereof.
You got time to duck?
Number 13, a man who wanted to be a god, then changed his mind. Lord of Illusions. While Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions didn't catch on like Hellraiser, it still contains some great moments and memorable lines, and is well worth checking out for supernatural horror aficionados. Dorothea Swan asks Nix who he is, and Nix responds with this tremendous line that really gets the imagination stirring.
A man who wanted to be a god, then changed his mind.
It establishes Nix as a monumentally ambitious and powerful figure, a man even more powerful than God. Number 12, I'll See You in Hell, Halloween Resurrection. Released after Halloween H2O seemingly ended the story for good, Halloween Resurrection retconned the ending and brought Michael back for another movie. Both the decision and the movie received unanimous hate. Perhaps even more egregious than Michael's bizarre return is Laurie's death. But at least she gets a great final line. A line that wonderfully summarizes her warrior attitude and the undying link she shares with her psychotic brother. Until that was retconned as well.
I'll see you in hell.
Number 11. Here's Johnny, The Shining. It's amazing how Jack Nicholson and Stanley Kubrick can transform a famous introduction from late-night television into one of the scariest lines ever uttered in a horror movie.
Here's Johnny!
The line doesn't really make sense, but then again, it doesn't really need to, as Jack has gone full-blown bonkers by this point. It's just a bizarre thing to say from a creepy and totally unhinged man, and it became one of cinema's most enduring quotes. Number 10. I kick ass for the Lord, Dead Alive. There's nothing quite like a butt-kicking priest to really get the blood flowing. In Peter Jackson's Dead Alive, also known as Brain Dead, Stuart Deviney plays a fighting priest named Father Magruder. And he is arguably the greatest thing that Jackson has ever given us, including The Lord of the Rings.
I kick ass for the Lord!
Those movies are great and all, but a purple-robed priest performing martial arts on zombies and kicking ass for the Lord is just pure movie magic. Number 9. I'm every nightmare you've ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you were ever afraid of. It. The original It from 1990 is pretty darn janky nowadays, especially after watching the far more polished 2017 version. But the 1990 original has one thing that cannot be replaced, and that thing is Tim Curry as Pennywise. In one of the most iconic scenes, Pennywise appears to the children in a moving picture, and utters this line in a haunting growl.
I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
It certainly portrays Pennywise as the omniscient fear machine he is. Number 8. I Want to Play a Game, Saw. This movie not only launched one of the decade's most popular movie franchises, it also introduced a ton of material into the horror canon, including Jigsaw's now iconic mask and catchphrase.
I want to play a game.
In the original movie, Jigsaw says the line to Amanda, who plays the game of digging her way through someone's stomach to retrieve a key. The line horrifically portrays Jigsaw's warped sense of justice and fun, and it helped make him a horror icon. Number 7. I'm having an old friend for dinner, The Silence of the Lambs. Really, you can take any line of Hannibal Lecter's and put it here, including the famous fava beans and Chianti one.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
The man certainly has a way with words, but it's the sheer brilliance of his final line that helps it make the list. The line is pure Hannibal Lecter, a little smart alecky, very clever, revolting, and horribly threatening. It's certainly not the type of thing an FBI agent wants to hear.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner.
Number 6. When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. Dawn of the Dead. The original Dawn of the Dead is arguably the greatest zombie movie ever made, and it contains one of the most iconic lines in horror movie history. It's famously spoken by Peter, who's recounting something his grandfather once told him.
Granddad was a priest in Trinidad. He used to tell us, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
It's a horrifying line, and it's spoken with the perfect amount of menace and fear. Ken Foree would later reprise the line in the 2004 remake. in which he cameos as a televangelist.
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Number 5. This is God, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Tina is the first person to die in the Elm Street franchise. And what a horrifying death it is. She witnesses Freddy Krueger walking towards her, and when she asks for help from God, Freddy menacingly replies,
This is God.
And it's true. Freddy is essentially a god in the dream world, with the ability to do anything he wishes. And God is of no help, as Freddy catches Tina and disposes of her in gruesome fashion. Number 4. Smile, you son of a bitch. Jaws. The final 10 minutes of Jaws is some of the most harrowing stuff ever put to film. Hooper barely escapes the cage with his life, the shark kills Quint, and the boat begins sinking due to the accumulated damage. Everything seems doomed, and then Brody confidently emits the famous line, shooting at the scuba tank and blowing Jaws to gory smithereens.
Smile, you son of a...
It's extremely cathartic, and fans cannot help but yell along with Brody in elation. Number 3. We all go a little mad sometimes. Psycho. Alfred Hitchcock changed cinema forever with Psycho, and Anthony Perkins gives one of the all-time great movie performances as Norman Bates. Bates utters numerous popular lines, including this chiller.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
It comes during his evening conversation with Marion, and it heralds some terrifying things to come. Norman is more than a little mad, a fact that was tragically realized by Marion as she tried taking a shower. Number 2. Get away from her, you bitch! Aliens. A far more action-packed film than its tense and scary predecessor, Aliens ends in typical James Cameron extravagance with a battle between a massive alien and Ripley in an exosuit. This is arguably one of the most famous endings in movie history, complete with the fantastic line from Ripley and the brilliant shot revealing the exosuit.
Get away from her, you bitch!
The fight sees Ripley and the alien going at it full tilt, and Ripley's line showcases her protective instincts in the most badass way imaginable. Before we unveil our top pick, here are some honorable mentions. What an excellent day for an exorcism. The Exorcist. Pazuzu loves cracking jokes.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
I'm gonna have to kill this effing clown. Welcome to the Losers Club, asshole. It. That is one brave kid.
I'm gonna have to kill this clown. Welcome to the Losers Club, asshole!
Not in my movie. Scream. Billy comes back to life for one last scare and promptly dies.
Not in my movie.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. They Live. This isn't one of John Carpenter's more famous movies, but it contains the greatest line in any of his movies. It's dryly uttered by none other than Roddy Piper, one of the most famous wrestlers of all time.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Piper proved a very capable actor, as showcased by the wonderful and hilarious delivery of this line. It's a weird thing to say to a group of aliens right before blowing them away, but it is certainly memorable and certainly badass.
Mama don't like tattletales.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.